All right, welcome, welcome. My name is Meredith. Welcome to Tonglen meditation. Is anybody here for the very first time to the temple? Not the temple. How about to Tonglen meditation? Okay, lots of new people. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for showing up tonight. So let me give you a little bit of background about Tonglen. Tonglen is a Tibetan practice, and it means taking and sending. And it's part of a larger Tibetan mind training practice called Lojong. So these Lojong teachings are attributed to a master in the 10th century, a Buddhist master named Atisha. And later on, another teacher named Geshe Chekawa arranged all these teachings and summarized them into a collection of like 59 very short, concise sayings or statements. And they're often thought of as kind of like a blueprint for practicing the Bodhisattva path in 59 steps. This is Tibetan. So these Lojong teachings include instruction in formless meditation, which is basically the practice of resting in like a natural, open state of awareness. So you're not really focusing on like a particular object or visualization or concept. You're just letting your mind rest and remain open and spacious. There's also instruction in the practice of sending and taking, which is Lojong, which is what we're going to do tonight. Or Tonglen, sorry, which is what we're going to do tonight. And then there's also instruction in post-meditation practice, which is putting our meditation into action in our daily lives, which is so very important because that's a huge part of all of this practice of meditation that we do. We do it so that we can be a positive energy in our life and in the lives of anybody that we encounter, and then anybody that they encounter, and anybody that they encounter, if you see where I'm going with this. So we are not sitting in meditation just to calm ourselves down, although there's literally nothing wrong with that. I love sitting in meditation to calm myself down, but not in a traditional Buddhist context. A lot of us come to meditation to practice for that very reason, just to be calmer and happier. And that's a great place to start. But the point of Buddhist practice, for the Buddhists anyway, is to awaken, to liberate from the cycle of samsara, which is that endless cycle of life and death and rebirth, repeat, repeat, repeat. So the Tibetan Vajrayana and the Mahayana schools of Buddhism, they follow the Bodhisattva path. And they view enlightenment a little bit differently because bodhisattvas, the enlightened beings, these guys are bodhisattvas. They vow to come back lifetime after lifetime until all sentient beings are liberated from the cycle of samsara. So for most of us non-enlightened humans, just doing the best we can, the meditation practices are fabulous, right? They become really meaningful when we grow from them, because we do grow from them, and when we put them into practice in our daily lives. So back to Tonglen. If you look for examples of Tonglen meditation, you're going to find lots of variations. This is a flexible type of practice. Some more formal and traditional, and some a little bit more modern. And what I was hoping to practice tonight is really the basics. So whether you've been practicing Tonglen for a little while or whether you're absolutely brand new to this, I really like to start with the basics so that we get a good sense of the practice so that you can find a way to practice that feels authentic to you. and comfortable. So we're going to do a 4-part guided practice. In the first part, we're going to settle into our breath and into our bodies. We're going to do that for a few minutes. And then we're going to start to connect with a sense of openness. And sometimes you might hear this referred to as flashing on our bodhicitta. That's very often used in this practice. Our bodhicitta is our Buddha nature or our Buddha mind. And it's a really important part of this practice. In the second part of this practice, we're going to work with practicing synchronizing our breath with some very specific visualizations that represent suffering and also relief. And for those of you who have never done this before, I'm going to tell you that suffering is visualized traditionally as a very thick, dark, hot smoke. And relief is visualized as a cool, refreshing white light. In the third part, once we get those visualizations going, we are going to, we're going to get our breath and our visualizations synced up the best that we can. And then we're going to shift our attention a little bit and try to visualize ourselves. And we're going to begin to breathe in our own suffering or discomfort and breathe out comfort and relief and ease back to ourselves. In most of these practices, we always start with ourselves. If we can't give whatever we're practicing to ourselves first, we can't authentically give it to anybody else. So we start with ourselves. And then in the fourth part, which it has actually a couple of different parts to it, we're going to shift our attention from ourselves to somebody that we care about, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to breathe in their suffering or discomfort, and we're going to breathe out comfort, relief, and ease to them. And once we focused on them for a few minutes, we're going to begin to gently expand outward, and we're going to visualize all the others in existence who suffer just like we do, or just like our loved one does. And we're going to breathe in all of their suffering and breathe out comfort and relief and peace to all of them. It's similar to metta. So again, with metta, like a lot of these practices, we start with ourselves and then we move to a loved one, usually a neutral person, a difficult person, and finally all who suffer. But tonight, I really do want to spend a little more time and focus getting comfortable with what it feels like to flash on that bodhicitta in the very beginning of the meditation, that resting in openness part, because I think it's really important. It's a crucial part, I think, of this meditation, because that sense of openness is the place from which we're able to directly interact with and transform suffering. So we're going to spend a little more time feeling our way through that part. So when we practice on our own, either here together or anywhere else that you might practice, hopefully it'll be easier for you to sort of locate and feel that part in your own body. The reason I think it's important is because as humans, I think we get really bogged down with our own views, our ignorance, our difficulties or our afflictions and our struggles. And so we don't see or we don't realize that we already have this Buddha nature in us. But we do, even if we don't feel it. So these practices are really important because they kind of help us uncover little by little our own Buddha nature, which is our own capacity for this great and brave, even radical compassion. And this is a compassion practice. Kind of like how metta is cultivating kindness in us, this practice cultivates compassion. So we are mentally exercising and strengthening our compassion muscle. Compassion is one of the four immeasurables, along with loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, all of which are practiced without measure for the benefit of all beings, all sentient beings. Compassion is our ability to recognize suffering coupled with action or intention to alleviate suffering. It's definitely not passive, it's active. And sometimes compassion, and this is important too, sometimes compassion involves just being able to sit with suffering, not turning away from it, not ignoring it or pushing it away, like we tend to do with stuff that makes us uncomfortable, but turning toward it and being brave and open and being willing to interact. So before we get started, does anybody have any questions, functional or otherwise? We good? Okay. So we start this practice as we normally do, just by settling into our bodies. So we're going to come into a place of stillness and spend a moment or two just sort of connecting with our breath and the intention to be of service in the world. We're going to connect with that good intention. So sit comfortably and begin to allow yourself to settle in. I will ring the bell 3 times to signal the beginning and the end of the meditation. But I'm also going to ring the bell once during the meditation when we flash on our bodhicitta, so you can experience the sensation of resting in openness and spaciousness to the sound of the fading bell. Because sometimes in traditional practices, the sound of that one bell is the signal to rest in openness and spaciousness. So we're going to practice that. Okay, let's begin. Find yourself a comfortable seated position. If you're on the floor, your legs are crossed, so your knees are lower than your hips. Make sure you have 3 solid points of contact for stability, the 2 knees and your bottom. If you're in a chair, your feet are flat on the floor. Your back or your feet might be supported with a cushion if it's necessary. I'll guide us all the way through, and we can chat a little bit afterward. If you're comfortable, please close your eyes. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, just rest your gaze down at the floor, a few feet in front of you. Let your vision relax however it's going to. Give yourself a minute to adjust your body so you feel centered and supported. Your spine is straight. Your chin is slightly tucked. Shoulders are relaxed. Pull them down away from your ears. Your hands can rest on your thighs or in your lap. Let's begin by taking 3 deep breaths together, slowly. Breathe in, slowly and with control. Gently fill up your lungs. And breathe out, slowly and with control, emptying all the air out. And again, breathing in, fill up. And breathe out all the way down. Last time. Breathe in, fill up all the way to your collarbones, and out all the way down. And now just gently return to the natural rhythm of your breath, allowing yourself a minute to settle in right here, right now. When you're ready, begin to gently bring your attention to your heart space, the area right in the middle of your chest. Become aware of the rising and falling of your heart space with each inhale and each exhale. Just spend a minute here breathing and see if you can start to feel or locate a sense of openness and ease right here in the middle of your chest. If this sense of openness is unfamiliar to you, I'd invite you to begin to visualize in your mind a place out in nature where you are completely safe. It can be any place that you would love to be. A place you remember, or a place you imagine. Maybe you're at the beach with a view of the horizon. Maybe you're someplace up in the mountains with a view of the horizon and all the land below for miles and miles. Wherever you are, in the forest, by a lake, in the mountains, on the beach, look toward the horizon or up to the sky in your mind's eye and see the beautiful, vast, clear sky. Maybe you can feel the warm light shining from the sun. Whatever makes you happy. Maybe there's some gentle clouds. Look out at the horizon or up at the sky for a minute and really try to feel what it's like to be in this place, knowing you are completely safe, open, and free of any kind of burden. If you're someone who doesn't easily see pictures in your mind, I encourage you to follow whatever senses come to you. however they come to you when I guide you to visualize or envision things. Just do what works for you. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. Now, whatever sensations or feelings of spaciousness and openness you've been able to conjure up, see if you can let those feelings or sensations rest right in the middle of your chest, in your heart space. And see if you can allow the open feeling of being in your beautiful place to remain there. This feeling of openness and ease is the awakening of your bodhicitta, your Buddha nature, your awakened heart mind. It's within you all the time. And it's from this open place of ease and stillness that we're able to interact with suffering and discomfort and transform it into comfort and healing and relief and ease for ourselves and for the benefit of others. Spend just a few more rounds of breath here, just resting in open peacefulness. I'm going to sound the bell once, so you can practice resting in openness to the sound of the bell until it fades away. Now, if you're feeling ready, let's move on and try the next step. Gently bring your attention back to your breath. Feel your in-breath and your out-breath. And when you're ready, begin to imagine or visualize in front of you the texture of what some people call claustrophobia. It's a thick, dark, hot, black, sooty smoke. Begin to envision the smoke rising right in front of you in as much detail as you can. And again, if you're someone who doesn't visualize clear images in your mind, please just work with whatever comes to you, however the texture of the smoke manifests for you. Let the smoke rise and gather. When you're ready, on your inhale, begin to slowly breathe in the smoke. You might start to feel the thickness or heaviness and heat of the smoke entering through your nose and traveling down into your lungs. Don't worry about your exhales right now. They will happen all on their own. Just focus on the inhales. As you breathe in, Take the smoke into your body, into your heart space, and give yourself a minute to adjust to taking the smoke in. If you begin to have feelings of discomfort, know that you are safe and brave, and also know that you may always, in any meditation, take care of yourself by returning to your attention to the natural rhythm of your breath if you feel that it's necessary. Now we're going to add on the transformation and also pay attention to our exhale. When we breathe out, the texture and quality of the smoke that has entered into our heart space changes to that of spaciousness, clear, white, and fresh. The cool, white, refreshing light that you exhale out all the way. The transformation takes place automatically and instantly as soon as the smoke enters your heart space. You don't have to think about it. Breathe in, take in the smoke. Breathe out, release the cool white light. Continue to do this for a few more rounds of breath until you feel that your visualizations are comfortably synchronized with your breath. Breathe in, take in the smoke. Breathe out, release the cool white light. Breathe in, take in the darkness. Breathe out, release the fresh light. Envision the smoke going into your body and your exhales releasing the refreshing white light. If it's easier for you, you may inhale slowly and fully through your nose and try exhaling slowly and fully through your mouth, keeping the visualization synchronized the best that you can. If you begin to have feelings arise, try working with whatever's coming up for you. If it's fear, breathe in the fear and exhale calmness and relief. If it's agitation, breathe in the agitation and exhale relaxation and relief. Work with the feelings that arise and use the visualization to take away the discomfort and send relief. Now, if you feel like your breath and your visualizations have synchronized, temporarily let go of your focus on your breath and begin to bring your awareness to imagine that you are sitting across from yourself. See if you can begin to actually see or feel yourself sitting across from you right now. You can visualize yourself in any way that you're able to. as a baby, a young child, how you are today, or maybe at a particular age that comes to you. Try to visualize the details of how you look to yourself. What's the look in your eyes? What clothing are you wearing? How does your hair look? As many details as you can imagine. However you see yourself, or however you get a sense of yourself, begin to recognize your own suffering or discomfort. You know your feelings, your pain, sadness, anger, loss, anxiety, depression, fear, whatever is deeply within you. Begin to summon it. Let it rise out of you as the black smoke. Watch the smoke rise from your body and begin to collect and gather in the air. When you're ready, inhale and breathe in all of the smoke that is your suffering and discomfort, and let it fill up your heart space. Feel it as it enters your nostrils and travels into your lungs. And with your exhale, out comes the cool white light that you send back to yourself, giving yourself all the relief and healing and comfort you need. Continue here for a few more rounds of breath. Take your time. Watch the smoke rise out of you. Watch it gather. Inhale it into your heart space and exhale the cool, fresh, white light back to yourself with whatever healing and comfort you need. Now gently begin to temporarily let go of your focus on your breath and begin to let go of the image or sense of yourself. In this next part, we're going to call to mind someone that you love or care for very much. Maybe it's someone who cares for you. Maybe the love you have for them is romantic love. Maybe it's platonic love. Maybe it's genuine affection because this person is just so easy to be around. They can be anyone you like, living or dead. Visualize them or get a sense of them sitting right across from you. Notice any details about them that stand out to you. The color or length of their hair or what they're wearing. Their expression as they look back at you. Try to see them or feel them in your mind's eye. Now come to recognize their suffering or discomfort, whatever it may be, their struggles, their sadness, pain, or their worries, and start to see the black smoke of their suffering rise out of them. Watch the smoke as it rises and builds. When you're ready, you know what to do. Inhale and breathe in all of their suffering and let the smoke fill up your heart space. Let the openness of your heart space transform the dark smoke into the cool, soothing, healing white light, and exhale relief and ease to them. On each inhale, invite the darkness of their suffering to enter into you and be transformed into light and healing that you exhale to them over and over again. Whatever your loved one suffers from, you will send them peace and comfort and ease. Continue for a few more rounds of breath, taking away their suffering and sending them more and more healing and peace. Now slowly and gently begin to temporarily let go of your focus on your breath and begin to let go of the image or sense of your loved one. In this part, we're going to begin to expand outward and invite and imagine all of the people, all of the beings who suffer or have discomfort just like your loved one does, or just like you do. Give yourself a second, and then begin to expand your awareness outward. Try to include and get a sense of all of them, all of the beings who suffer in any way that you can. Maybe you expand your awareness outward little by little, letting go of all physical boundaries, further and further outward, beginning to see or get a sense of all the others everywhere, in all directions, and even in all dimensions. Space and even time may fall away for you. And now let the smoke come. Let it rise up and gather in the air. That same dark smoke of suffering and discomfort that we've been working with. When you feel ready, Begin to let the smoke enter your nose with each in-breath. Breathe in the smoke of their suffering. Let the smoke enter and travel all the way into your lungs, into your heart space to transform. And exhale out to all those who suffer, the radiating, cool white light of relief, comfort, peace, and ease. Send the healing and relief to all of them, everywhere, all at once, just as you have done for yourself and the one that you love. Take in all of the suffering and send out all of the relief. When you feel ready, you can begin to gently release your concentration on your coordinated breathing and begin to let go of all the visualizations and bring your attention back to the natural rhythm of your breath. You've done a lot of work. Rest for just a moment in stillness and spaciousness. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes, slowly begin to move. Stretch if you need to. So I'm curious to know how you feel now compared to how you felt before we practiced.
It's pretty relaxing, but it's also felt pretty intense at the same time.
It's like work.
I was like, wow, I really feel kind of tired.
Yeah, it's a lot to concentrate on.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work. It's always felt like a lot of work to me.
yeah. Yeah, energy-wise.
Yeah, for sure. Concentration levels are like need to be up here. It's not like you can just sort of drift off and fall asleep. I don't even feel like it's like metta, because with metta, you're just sending out, like you're repeating phrases of loving kindness. It's not that demanding. That's a kindness practice, right? It's not that demanding. This is a little more demanding. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything that came up for you while you were practicing? Yeah.
I was wondering about people who are really that are full of suffering or toxic. Would it be a little dangerous for them to start to create more suffering?
I don't know if you're really creating more suffering. You mean if a toxic person were to practice this?
To create, well, to bring suffering from other people into your life, and they're already saturated with all the suffering.
Well, you're not holding on to the suffering. So you're envisioning it, and then your body you're taking it in and you're sort of transforming it into something positive and useful. I would think that if somebody was really toxic themselves, that it would be a real struggle, first of all. But you're not really creating anything that you're holding on to. When we meditate, when we practice, we're not conjuring things up necessarily to hold on to them permanently. We don't really want to hold on to anything. You can use it and let it go. So I don't know. Anybody toxic in here that might want to chime in? I mean, I feel like for me, during times in my life when I've held on to a lot of, like I've been resentful or had a lot of anger, the practice itself demands that I look at what's arising in me, first of all. It makes me aware of the levels of anger and resentment within me. And if I'm going to practice compassion, then I have to be aware of what's happening here. That's the first step. And I think, noticing, becoming aware of what's actually happening is the first place that we have to start. But if you're toxic and delusional, then you're just in delusional, toxic la-la land anyway. So I don't know about that. But as far as like generating more, I don't think we're generating anything to hang on to it that's going to continue to exist. It's like we're acting as an air purifier. The ick comes in and the good goes out. But what I love about this practice is that you can, if you're somebody who can visualize, and the reason I add in stuff about if you're somebody who doesn't see pictures clearly in your head is because there are people who can't imagine in pictures. They don't see that way. They can get a sense of something. It's like I actually have a friend who told me, I've known her for a million years. She just told me the other day, if you tell me to think about an apple, I know what an apple is. I can think about an apple, but I don't see a picture of an apple in my head. And so people get hung up, when you ask them to visualize things in meditations, which is why I think it's important to just work with whatever comes up for you. If it's a sense of something, or if it's just, what it is, just work with that. But I love being able to watch the representation of suffering, either in myself or in somebody else, rise up out of them. It's physically leaving them. And then you're taking it in and transforming it and sending back the healing. And that's the active part of compassion that I love. You're not just thinking about it. You're not just thinking, like empathy, like, I feel bad for you. I feel the badness of what you're experiencing. Compassion is active. It's coupled with this intent to sort of alleviate if you can. Now, sometimes you can't, and we're not talking about fixing other people's problems. It's not, we get in our own way sometimes, I think, when we talk about compassion or when we think about compassion. We're not being asked, compassion isn't asking us to fix anything. It's just asking us not to turn away, not to shut it out, but to face it and sit with it and maybe just be with it. And that's as good as it's going to get. This practice can be done in more stages. If you have the stamina for it, you can go through all the steps like we do in metta with yourself and somebody you care for and a neutral person and a difficult person, and then opening up to include all sentient beings. We're at 7:51. We only had an hour, and I really wanted to spend extra time in the beginning focusing on that state of flashing on bodhicitta. A lot of the times in practices, they will have you settle in and they will ring the bell, and that's it. That's your signal to feel that open spaciousness. And so if you don't know what that is, then you're just sort of sitting there waiting for something else to happen. But that sense of openness is the place from which we're able to interact with things that maybe ordinarily we would think we couldn't handle. Like, think about a person that you absolutely can't stand, right? Somebody that bugs you, or somebody that you think is in the world just doing a lot of harm. Can be anybody. Do you have compassion for that person? Or you're like, no, you suck. I have no compassion for you. You're going to get what you get. Can you? Can you have compassion for somebody like that? These practices ask that we have compassion for everybody equally. And that seems really hard and really overwhelming. And it seems like a burden that is too big for us to carry, to handle. But our Buddha nature says you're already able to. It's already in you. You might not be able to see it because of your own views and your own judgments and your own, afflictions, your own attachments. It's usually attachments and judgments that get us into the most trouble. Where we're like, no, I don't like that. Therefore, I cannot have compassion for that person. But you can. You just have to get past your own sentimentality, your own feelings. You have to transcend those feelings. You have to transcend your own sense of judgments to be able to do it. And it's not that easy. That's why we're all exhausted. Because it's a lot. I sat with somebody a couple of weeks ago. And they were concerned about the concept of like doing this practice with somebody who they felt had already received so much understanding already, and they just kept stepping on boundaries and, like just continuing to do the bad things that they weren't supposed to be doing. And they said, like, at what point does this become like you're enabling? You have all this compassion, you just keep pouring out compassion. And so the other person's like, cool, I'm just going to keep being a jerk or whatever they're doing, stepping all over your boundaries. We're never, certainly never putting ourselves in harm's way. We're never allowing somebody to, cross our boundaries or be in a dangerous situation ever. We're never doing that. But having compassion for somebody who's dealing with their own stuff and maybe they can't control their own stuff yet. The compassion that you can sit with them through whatever they're going through, you're not going to let them hurt you, but you can still have compassion for them. You can still want them to not suffer. That's not enabling. You still have your boundaries. And so this compassion stuff, I think for a lot of us is kind of a slippery slope. We get in our own way a little bit. We feel like we run around all day long, like maybe trying to fix everybody else's problems. And we think that's compassion, and it's not.
In parenting, they give classes too. It's called tough love.
Yeah. Parenting is a whole other ball of wax. That's something that involves a lot of doing what you know is right in the face of a tiny human who cannot fathom that they cannot have what they want, when they want it, how they want it, in that moment. You know, they change their mind every 5 seconds. I want the blue cup. No, I said the green cup. No, I want this fork. No, I want the Mickey Mouse thing. I mean, and you know, and at some point as a parent, as long as they're, you know, we talk about health, education, and welfare, right? As long as you got those 3 bases covered, health, education, and welfare, you're like, just here's a blue cup, just deal with it. Parenting means doing what you know is right, despite their feelings a lot of the time. But it's hard. I remember when my daughter was like, I don't know, maybe she was not even 1. I took her bottle away, gave her a sippy cup. She was pissed. God, she was so mad at me. First of all, she didn't know how to use it. You know, back then, she's 26 now. So back then, the bottles had the bags in them. So there was a gravity thing. She could literally walk around and play and do things with her hands, and the bottle would hang out of her mouth. And if she sucked on the nipple, because the stuff was in a bag, she would still be able to drink it. And so she took the sippy cup and like held it like this. She didn't realize she had to tip it. And she handed it back to me like it was broken. Like, I don't want this. And I said, no, I'm sorry. We're done. Here's your sippy cup. And she said, no. And I said, okay. And I put it down on the floor and I walked away. And that cup sat in the kitchen for 2 days. And 2 days later, she walked back over the cup and she picked it up and she looked at me. And I said, tip it back. Tip it. Tippy cup. Tippy sippy. And she figured it out. She did it and the stuff came out and she was like, oh, and that was it. She was done. But she was mad at me. She was pissed. But I was like, okay, feel mad. And sometimes that's compassion. Feel your feelings. You're not in danger. Be mad. It's okay. Be mad at me. 2 days later, that little tiny thing came back. She was so mad. But she never that was it. Once she figured out how to use the thing, and then we learned how to cheers, and she was like, it was fine. Does anybody have anything else that they're swirling around with? Because we get about 2 minutes. This practice it can be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I can hold images in my head pretty well, but I don't think they really give me a feeling.
Okay.
I feel like I'm just putting mental labels on them.
Okay.
Yeah, how do I look at that?
Well, first of all, fair.
Even like for myself, I know how I'm feeling throughout my day.
Yeah.
But then when I'm looking at myself in the image, I can't take the suffering from that other me. I can't feel that suffering, you know.
That's fair. Some of this just takes a little bit of time. I've had other people, particularly in meta classes, say, like, I just don't, like, I'm not feeling anything. I don't know if you need to be that worried. If you can recognize in your body a sense of openness, that's just the first start. That's the first step. I don't know that you need to, especially if you're looking at yourself or if you're looking at somebody else in your mind, whether the point is for you to feel what the visualization is feeling. Does that make any sense?
Sure.
When we practice using ourselves and a loved one and a neutral person and a difficult person and then everybody, those typically are our meditation objects. We're locating people or sensations in our bodies, right? So a loved one is going to make you automatically just feel good and easy. A difficult person is automatically going to trigger you into feeling that tense, difficult feeling, right? The point isn't to make you connect emotionally with the meditation object. It's to get your body used to conjuring up compassion in the face of those triggers, so that when you're out there and you run into somebody who's icky and they get the feeling in your body's conditioned a little bit to bring up compassion a little bit faster than it normally would. Does that make sense? So I wouldn't worry too much if you can't feel the like you know what your feelings are, but you can't feel it when you're doing the thing and looking at yourself over here.
I think it's too, because like in that moment, I'm trying to think about my breath and how that feels.
Right.
So it's hard to feel the emotion that that image of that person might bring up when I'm feeling something.
Right.
My feet were hurting.
And really, we're practicing and transcending our feeling that we have. That's sentimentality, the feelings that you naturally have. We're practicing despite those, like beyond them. So that's why at the end, when we practice for the benefit of all sentient beings, like everybody, even the horrible people, that we can do it. Does that help a little bit? Okay. All right. We are 2 minutes past my bedtime. So if you are comfortable, let's close with the transfer of merit and get Ann up here with some announcements, final announcements. Anyway, okay. May the benefit of this practice be transferred to all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace and free from suffering. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to those who need it most. Thanks, guys.
Hi, friends. I'm honored tonight's host. Dharmabumtemple has been open for 19 years, and to introduce Buddhist practices to those who show up. Those who lead are nuns, monks, gurus, or teachers, and we're always looking for students. They're just practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice, just like Meredith. Thank you. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. There's a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone experiencing addiction. There's also a food redistribution program every Thursday at 4:30 for this. There are classes and programs every day, and everything here is always free. There's Zen meditation Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. Full schedule for everything is on the website and outside above the shoe rack. There's a lending library. If you see a book you like in there, take it, bring it back whenever you're done with it. You can also donate Buddhist-based books. There's a donation box in there, throw it in there. Please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out, and if a few people could stay just to close and latch the windows, that'd be really helpful. Thank you for being here, everybody. Wish you well, and hope to see you then. Yay. 2 minutes past my bedtime. So real.
I can't get this to shut off.
I never touch anything over here.
I know, but we're supposed to end the stream.
Oh,
End
yeah, of
stream,
course.
End stream.
You gotta go back to get cancel.
I know. This thing doesn't ever want to quit.
Thank you so much. That was really great, Meredith. Thank you.
Thanks. There we go. End.
Going from a Mac to anything else.
Grr.